All right. So as I mentioned, we'll start with some check-ins with what's alive in this particular moment. We won't get through everyone, but as an example, I'll start out by introducing myself. My name is Katrina Vallaincourt. And again, I completed my certification last fall, so I'm a relative newbie in that regard, and yet I've been teaching this work for over 16 years now. Right now I'm feeling open-hearted, grateful, and just looking forward to sharing this work with all of you this evening. So that's what's most alive in me. And if you'd like to share a check-in, please do raise your hand, as Happy Ron has his hand raised right now. So you can raise that by going to the reaction button at the bottom and clicking on that raise hand button. You can also physically raise your hand. I see Don is physically raising his hand and just added that button. So let me start out with Happy Ron, and then Don will be next. Yeah, Happy Ron. What's alive in you?
It's nice to meet you. My name's Happy Ron. I'm currently in Reno. I live in San Diego. What's alive in me right now is a whole bunch of COVID, unfortunately. So I got COVID for the first time after going on a music cruise. And I'm also, what's alive for me is I'm happy that I'm still sick, but I'm able to kind of function and do things. And so I'm grateful to be in a social situation online, because I don't want to be in a social situation in person, because I don't want to give everyone COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be here. I haven't done anything with NBC. I've been doing NBC since 1995, and I haven't done much this year. So I'm glad to been here. So.
Oh, good. We're happy you could join us, and wish you well on your COVID recovery journey. And it is wonderful that we can be social in this way without being contagious.
Exactly.
We can be contagious in the matters of the heart without being contagious in matters of viruses. Thank you. Thank you, Happy Ron. All right. And Don, what would you like to share? What's alive in you?
Oh, hello. Yes, I'm near Santa Barbara, and I'm grateful for my health and happy for Jory and Jim and this Monday evening group, and just walked on the beach. So that's some of my joy and thankfulness. And I'm also in shock hearing of a family member going to be getting a divorce. So I guess like life, we have our ups and downs. I'm in a beautiful place, Santa Barbara, California. And that's nice. It's a Mediterranean climate. And I'm thankful to have this opportunity to be growing through NVC processes and connecting that we have these common needs.
Yes. Yes.
And we're here growing and sharing. So
thank you.
Thank you for leading this group
absolutely
tonight.
And thank you for sharing what's alive in you. Thank you for sharing your joy
and
Katrina. The sadness. Absolutely. Francesca.
I'm Francesca, and I live in the East Bay, across the bay from San Francisco. And one thing that's alive in me is that I broke my leg in December, and I've been hardly able to walk. And today I was able to walk a little bit without pain. It's back in pain right now, but I was shocked. And the other thing about me is that I have been doing NVC with a small group that was in Walnut Creek for over 10 years. And it's just awesome. We used to meet in person, and now we meet on Zoom. So anyway, that's just a little taste here.
All right. Thank you. I hope your leg is fully recovering from that accident.
No, it's not. It's definitely not fully recovered, but
recovering. May it continue. May you be fully restored. Yes. Thank you. All right. So we'll go with Siva, and then I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Chamu?
It's Chamu.
Okay, great. So we'll go with Siva and then Chamu, and then I'm going to create breakout groups so that people can have a small group experience and everybody has a chance to check in. All right.
Okay.
So hi, very good morning. Chamu here. So
Oh,
can I?
okay, so we'll go
Shiva.
Siva and then Shamu, and then I'll do the breakout
sure.
groups. Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
so I don't know if you remember me, but I
do.
I bought your cards, and I'm wondering if you have them so you could show people. Otherwise, I'll get mine. Okay, perfect. And the other thing is, when you make a small group, please put me with Sudha. I have some business to finish with her.
I'm not sure how easy it is for me to do that. If I can, I'm happy to.
Do you see the
Um,
spelling? Sudha.
Okay, I see Sudha. So I will do my best to put you two together.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And Chamu.
Yeah, so I think I came little late and I'm sorry. I think we have to share our pay points now, or how it is?
It's just a check-in right now. So it's just what's alive in you. You could share where it is you're calling in from and whatever is on your heart. So some emotions, some context. We're just doing a bit of a
so,
check-in.
yeah, so I'm from India, Chennai. You heard about it?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I work for a financial firm and I'm an HR, more into training and development. And we do a lot of NVC trainings, for a leadership team and all.
Yes.
Yeah, and my boss actually has been with Jim and Jory for almost like 10 plus years. So when I joined now, he has given me the insight for the last 3-4 months that I need to really put myself, because we also have a lot of these personal things coming front. So this NVC is really going to help me to raise my daughter, was very aggressive at 8 years old.
Mm.
Nowadays, kids are like too aggressive.
Mhm.
So, especially to love more and show more empathy, I am practicing this NVC.
Yes. Good. Good.
Yeah.
I started using nonviolent communication with my son when he was 8 years old as well. And it was such a wonderful tool to introduce to him at that age. So I'm delighted that you're able to share that with your daughter at this time.
Exactly. I'm on the right track and she's in the right age now. So
Very good.
this NVC is really going to bring her a wonderful woman in future.
Yes. Yes. Very good. So
Thank you.
let's see. I see a couple notes in the chat, including that Sharona, I don't know if I said your name right, that you can't be in a small group. I'm going to start to create these breakout groups, and I'm going to do the random creation because otherwise it takes too long for me to place everyone. And I'll do my best to put Sudha and Siva together in a group. In the meanwhile, as I'm setting up these breakout groups, I want to invite you to take this moment to drop into presence, to drop in to this moment. If you'd like, you can close your eyes and notice your breath. Notice the quality of your breathing. Notice the length of your in-breath and your out-breath. Scanning your body. Noticing sensations. Noticing emotions. Noticing what needs bring you to this course. Notice what you'd love to experience today. All right. So in a moment, I'm going to open the breakout rooms. There should be 4 to 5 people in each breakout room. And I want to invite you each to take about 1 minute to introduce yourself and share what's alive for you in the group. And so maybe you might want to just track the time. I will let you know when each minute has passed as a way to support that tracking. So we'll have, I'll do 6 minutes for each group. So you'll have a little bit over a minute each, but try and aim for that minute because I know it's really easy to go over. All right. If you have less than a minute that you'd like to share, then you can just go silent and hold silence with the group for the remainder of your minute. All right. Does anyone have any questions before I put you into the breakout rooms? All right, so I'm going to open the breakout rooms and I will see you back here in about 6 minutes. And for people who have not been assigned a room, maybe you came in after I created the breakout rooms. I think rather than adding you to pre-existing rooms, because I don't want to overfill them, we can share in here. How's that sound for you?
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So some of the people who are showing up here just haven't joined a breakout room. So I'm just going to assume that maybe they don't want to participate. And I think we'll still have enough time for Kay and Sarah. You are the two who I don't have assigned to a room. Everybody else has been assigned. All right. Just for clarity's sake. Yeah.
I didn't get in a room, but that's cool.
Okay.
Corey.
I need to send a message to the rooms. Let's see. Okay, that was more than 1 minute, but I'm going to call that the first minute. So, Sarah or Kay, would one of you like to share what's alive in you?
Sorry, just the interview you said? I mean, just the intro? Was that what you said?
Just an intro, just what's alive in you.
Oh, I'm kind of new, so I don't know, like just whatever's coming up for me right at this moment, you mean?
Sure. So you could share what you might be feeling in your body, including sensations and emotions.
Yeah.
And what's alive in you. So maybe there's something that's on your mind or on your heart that you feel moved to share. So you're just dropping into the present moment together.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah and I'm coming from the Bay Area. I am feeling a little bit of excitement, a little bit of sadness in my body. Strange that the excitement and sadness are coming together around specifically around a person that you know, yeah, that's all I'll say. Some stuff, and I'm really glad to be here. Yeah.
Good. Glad to have you here. And relationships can be challenging and growthful. Great opportunity for learning.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, would you like to share what's alive in you?
Sure. I'm feeling some regret that I came so late. I attend this Monday night group regularly, and I lost track of the time. And so I'm feeling a little discombobulated and interested in, I certainly have the need for connection, and I'm wanting to connect to whoever is present.
Oh, wonderful. It's good to have you here, and I'm delighted that we can support some of those needs for connection in this group. And yeah, happy to hear that this is such a meaningful group for you, that you really make an effort to be here on time each week, each time it's offered. Yeah, very good. All right, I need to send another message to the group. I see Isa, you also joined us. Isa, if you'd like to check in and share what's alive in you, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm feeling excitement somehow. I'm very curious about the games, all of the stuff that will be offered later on. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Isa. Yeah, looking forward to sharing these games with you. So we have about another minute and a half in the room together. If anyone else feels moved to share something that's alive in them, please do feel free. Again, I'm multitasking, so in about 20 seconds, I'll be sending another message. Yeah, and otherwise we can just drop into a meditative space.
Did you want to share anything about what's alive for you, or did you already share?
I shared before I did the breakout groups, but in general, I'm really happy to be here. Okay, I got to move to broadcast. Hold on one second. Okay. All right. So,
Corey, can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, it seems like a lot to manage both teaching a class and, the tech stuff. I have led NVC groups online for a couple of years, and I have someone do the whole tech thing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad, because, so I just want to say I'm impressed, and also curious how you managed to do that. You seem very calm.
Well, I've done quite a bit of leading using Zoom, but it is a little distracting. It's hard for me to give somebody their full presence when I have a multitask that I need to do to manage the breakout rooms. So I thank you for your empathy and awareness in that regard. And it's wonderful to have a tech person in the back end. Sometimes I do that, but didn't have an opportunity to set that up today. All right. Let's see.
Yeah, and I'm really curious. I loved what the Manskys posted that you're going to do today. So I thought that sounded really interesting. And
Thank you.
I'm always looking for new wonderful things to share with my group. So yeah, so thank you.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the teachings of authentic relating by chance?
Who I've heard the term. Who is the leader of that?
I'm not sure who created it. I actually have a book that I can see from over here. It was 20 feet away. But it's
has Martha Lansley integrated that?
no, she's doing something else.
Okay.
So this is distinct from that. But authentic relating has some fun games that work really well with nonviolent communication and create some opportunities to practice kind of street giraffe.
Well,
So
that's
what I'll be sharing today is really inspired by that. And yeah, we'll have an opportunity to deepen in various NVC skills by playing games.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Good to see you. And I want to give an opportunity for anybody who really feels like they would like to share with the big group something that's alive in them. If there's somebody who just really wants to be heard in the big group, I want to give you an opportunity to raise your hand and share before we move on. All right, and I'm also happy to move on into some of the games, connection games that we'll be playing. This first one is one that I have found to be very supportive of just dropping into deep, honest, authentic, empathic communication with another person. And of course, honest expression and empathic reflection are cornerstones of nonviolent communication, right? With either of those missing, it's really difficult to have any kind of quality communication. So this is a game that we can play that really supports presence with honest expression, spontaneous honest expression, and a natural form of empathy. One thing I want to ask people to do is, if you are not able to participate in a breakout room, there's a couple people who have put an equals sign by their name, just in front of their name. If you would rename yourself and put an equals sign in front of your name, if you cannot be in a breakout room, that would be very helpful, because I'm going to put people into breakout rooms with just one other person for this exercise. And I don't want to be leaving people solo. I'll work it out because I can see who's in the room and who's not. But that would be helpful. So just put out that request. So this first game it's actually quite easy. And so I would love it if somebody would be willing to do a demonstration with me, and you'll get to learn the game on the fly with me, so that other people can see what it is we'll be doing once we go into the breakout room. So I see I've got a couple volunteers. And Amalia, I haven't heard from you yet. Maybe your hand just went down.
I just put it down because you pronounced my name. But if you want.
Okay. I can go with someone else if you'd prefer.
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I would love to, actually.
Okay,
Let's
great.
put it the right way.
All right. So I'm going to pin your video and also my own. Let's see. Add pin. There we go. This way it's a little easier for people to just focus on the conversation that we're having here. So the way this first game is going to go is one person is going to start, and then you go into a flow together. And the person who starts is going to ask the question, what's alive in you in this moment? Just like we did for the check-in. All right. And so I'll start by asking you that question. And am I saying your name correctly? I want to make sure I have, is it
Yes. Yeah,
Amalia? Okay.
Yes, Katrina.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
So I'm going to ask you that question, and you'll spontaneously respond with some kind of a short answer. It could be a few sentences, and it might be like 30 seconds, but it's a relatively short answer. When you complete, I'm going to say thank you when I hear that I feel. And then I'm going to free flow. I'm not, at this point, I'm not concerned with whether I'm expressing a technical feeling or not. I'm simply sharing a honest expression of what's alive in me. So in this game, we're going back and forth, really sharing what's alive in us in a way that is honest, but also has this interesting way that we're dancing with what arises in response to listening with open-hearted presence. All right, so that's the description, and now we'll just show you how this works. And I'm sure you'll get the picture of it as we go. All right. So Amalia, I'm going to start by asking, what's alive in you right now?
On this moment, you actually brought some joy. I love games. So I'm curious if this game that we are playing really is gonna bring an easy tool for my life to be more pleasant, to have relationship that flow much easier.
Thank you.
And what's alive in you, Katrina?
So my response is going to be thank you when I hear that I feel, and then I express what's alive. So thank you. When I hear that, I feel delighted and I feel enlivened. I feel excited about sharing these practices with you. And I notice how much I would love to contribute to you in a way that creates greater ease and flow in your relationships.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Sounds lovely. Thank you so much.
So now your turn. The model is you'll say, thank you when I hear that I feel, and now you share.
Okay, when I hear that I feel, I don't know, the first feeling that came to my mind was joy, but also a bit of, am I up to the expectation, which I have no idea what expectation, because I didn't put any expectation in my mind, but somehow a sense of fearing came up. Yeah, I mean, am I playing this game right? But in the same time, I'm happy to play it.
Thank you. When I hear that, I feel amused because I notice how much the voices that you shared are voices I have in my mind from time to time. Am I doing this right? Is there some other way to do it? Or, those questions that can arise. So I notice the reflection of myself in you. And I'm amused by that. And I also want to give you reassurance that the only model in this is that when I complete, you then say thank you when I hear that I feel, and then you share what's alive in you. And so long as we go back and forth, there's no other right and wrong. That's simply the structure of the game that makes it work.
Thank you. I really appreciate. And I'm going to bring now, my biggest thing is, I don't know how I feel sometimes. So that's what's going to come next. Except that I'm repeating myself. I was happy to learn that, but this is my mind. It's not the feeling. Yeah, I was happy to learn that you relate, and we all kind of have, often we have the same needs and sometimes the same joy. Yeah. But when I'm thinking about feelings, which actually it's one of my hardest things, it's to express not my thoughts, my feelings. So, and that was the fear on this game. It's like, I'm going to be stuck because I don't have any other feeling, or I cannot, I don't know how to express. I don't know how to recognize my feelings, if it makes sense. So I just feel delighted. That's all. And
good. Thank you. When I hear that, I feel also a sense of recognition. And I remember when I was first learning nonviolent communication, how difficult it was for me to identify my feelings and how confusing it was to differentiate my thoughts from my feelings, and how often I would express I'm feeling something, only to be corrected in a nonviolent communication course that I wasn't expressing a feeling. And so with some of those memories, I feel empathy for the challenge, and also amusement for our learning process as it relates to nonviolent communication.
Thank you very much, Catherine. So,
So then you would say, when I hear that, I feel.
yeah, I know. When I hear that, I feel, but I don't know what I feel
Yeah.
because my
And
logical
so,
mind comes into the picture.
So the thing about this practice, so I'm going to just take a little pause here in terms of pinning us. And thank you so much, Amalia. This is a beautiful demonstration. So I'm just going to take a pause and let people know that you don't actually have to express feelings here. You can express associations, you can express thoughts. You're really expressing what's alive in you. So that's taking a little bit of a break from the very structured NVC practice where we're trying to stick with our feelings words, the feelings connected to unmet needs and the feelings connected to met needs. Those can be woven in, but you can also say, I feel like a butterfly flying through the wind. I feel like I did when I was 2 years old and, I got to meet a puppy for the first time. So there's a lot of freedom in your expression here. And so I want to invite people when it's your turn to express and you say, thank you. When I hear that, I feel, allow yourself to move into that free flow. All right. Molly, I'm curious when I say that, how this lands for you.
Thank you, Catherine. I feel that it's a very hard thing. I was on the beginning of the exercise, I was feeling more relaxed. Actually, now I start getting a bit stressed out because my logic mind nuts, which is one, which is the other one. So, and it's even if I tell story like you suggest, anything that's around, still my logic comes first and my feeling last because I have a hard time recognizing them. So it's, let's say I will say, I see a rainbow in front of me. It's not, I feel happy because I see a rainbow. The first thing I'm gonna say is I'm seeing a beautiful rainbow. I'm in front of the ocean or other things. I'm just taking general, or my cat sleeps next to me and has such a cute face. It's the fact that the feeling is just pleasant.
Good. And so all of that expression is okay. All of that works here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so I'm going to remove the pins here. Let's see. And remove my pin. So I'm back in gallery view. So as a review, the first question is, what's alive in you? And then in response, it's just going back and forth. So you listen and then you say, thank you. When I hear that, I feel. Okay, so I've just put that in the chat so that you have those what's the word? Those cues for this game. And I just want to check in. Siva, do you have a question? I see your hand is up. Okay, great. What's your question?
I don't know whether I should bring this up at this point because it might be confusing. But I've been thinking about this for a long time.
Okay, is this connected to the game? Because I do want to.
I think it is. I think it is. I think it is, and I think it's important to mention it.
Okay.
And you don't have to. You don't have to use it, but I think it's confusing because before we go into the feelings, we need to recognize our own fears. Because there's fear hidden or obvious. And that's what, and fear of what? Well, fear that we're gonna die. It's always there.
That's- so
It's
that-
always there because we know we are not immortal. And this is a driving energy that's usually hidden.
Siva, I noticed I'm a little bit confused as to how this connects to this particular game where people can share their feelings or they can share just some associated what's alive in them.
Well, because I
Um,
heard Amelia say a few times that she didn't know what her feelings were.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think that she didn't because she was hiding from herself what her fears are.
Okay.
Fears are usually seen as hatred, and that's not what it is.
So that's a possible reason, but it's not the only possible reason that somebody might not be able to identify their feelings.
Of course
Uh,
not. Of
so-
course not. But it's we should be aware, even though we're playing this game. We know it's a game. The whole process from birth to death is a game.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Yes.
fear can definitely come up in life, and we can hold that tenderly.
Right. We can.
Thank you.
It's a possibility, but it's not the only possibility.
Thank you. I want to see if there's any other questions that are coming up as it relates to this practice. All right. So I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. And this time it's just going to be 2 people. Let's see. I need to recreate, add rooms. Oh, looks like I'm limited to 12 rooms. Is that true?
No, because Jim has put us as partners before when there was like 40 to 50 of us.
Huh.
I think you can add more rooms.
Yeah, let me see. Okay. Let's see.
Well, Jory ran the rooms for Jim.
Yeah, but we've done it pairs before with like at least 40 people or so. So I know it is possible.
All right. So I am figuring that out, and it's not obvious.
Yeah, sorry, I've done it before, but
okay.
I don't remember right now.
I think I've got it. Okay, and so then I've got 2 people here who I need to just change rooms to make sure that works. Okay. So I have 2 people who have put the equal sign in front of their name. They are in a group together. I'm going to put one more with them, and then I will join the breakout room that does not have a partner. So let's see, move to room 4. My apologies for needing to take a moment to get all of that sorted out.
Do you see Samuel's hand?
I do. Do you have a question, Samuel?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, is it limited to one thing at a time? What's alive in you? If there's multiple things, just mention one thing.
It's not limited to one thing. I think the only challenge is if to keep it short. Because if you go on and on and on, then somebody might say, well, goodness, this was alive in me in response, and that was alive in me. And it's not as much of a back and forth flow. And so I would just encourage you to keep your response in little sound bites like Amalia and I did in this demonstration. Does that make sense? I've lost sight. Oh, I see you now. Okay, great. Thank you, Samuel. And Francesca?
How much time do we have?
I am going to give you about 10 minutes and I'll kind of feel into it to see if we need a little bit more time or not.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, sometimes they put a little timer up on so we can see, but you haven't done that. So I just wanted to
Yes.
know how much time. Thank you.
I'm not sure how to work with that timer, so
It's
I'm going to
okay.
just have to time things.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So I am going to open these breakout rooms. And so one person will start again by asking that question, what's alive in you in this moment? And then you'll go back and forth with the thank you when I hear that I feel. And just the associative back and forth that happens. All right. So I will see you back here in about 10 minutes and I'll of course broadcast messages. It's possible I'll extend the time if it feels like more time might serve a depth of connection. All right. I will see you in about 10 minutes. Enjoy the practice. All right, so I think I need to, Janet, I'm going to put you in room 21. And Kimberly, if you cannot join, then I'm going to bring Raf back into this room.
Hello.
Hello.
I ended up alone in a breakout room, so
Oh, you did. I'm looking at everything and let me reassign you then. Where are you?
Marty.
Marty, okay. I'm going to move you to room, I think it's 20.
There's one person in there?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Thank you.
You're
You're doing
welcome.
great.
Thank you.
I would go into room 20 as well, but I can't go on camera, which I don't like to do.
Okay,
be
so
off
you can
camera.
stay here and then there should be, I think there should be 2 people in room 20 right now. All right.
How long are the breakout rooms going to go for?
About 10 minutes. And I can do the practice in the room with you here because at this point, I believe, well, the people who are in this room for whatever reason cannot participate in breakout rooms.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm gonna get the timer going and let's see. Okay, would you like to try this practice with me?
Sure.
All right, so Kimberly, what's alive in you right now? Whoops, I can't hear you.
Can I do it while driving? I'm guessing I cannot.
You can have
just,
a conversation while driving if you feel comfortable with that. And if
yeah,
you
I do.
don't-
I feel
okay.
comfortable. Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'll put on my camera, but you're just not really gonna see.
You don't need to put on your camera. I can
Okay.
just work with your voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I joined late. I was out, I had to go do some errands and I'm on the East Coast.
All right.
So it's pretty late for me.
Late at night.
But yes, yes.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. So did
Sure.
you get the instructions for this exercise or would you like me
I
to?
did not.
repeat it? Okay.
Yes, please
So
repeat.
basically, I'm just going to ask you what's alive in you right now, and you'll give me a short answer, whatever's alive in you. And then I'll say, when I hear that, I feel, and I'll just share whatever associative thing is alive in me, just an honest, open-hearted communication. When I complete, then you'll say, when I hear that, I feel, and then you share again. And we just go back and forth in that way.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So what's alive
Now,
in you right
can I
now?
could I ask you if, is that question, I've done this, I think it was this exercise. I did it a couple years ago at the beginning of COVID. It was incredible. Is it okay if it's not something positive that's alive?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
What's alive in me is, I guess, a low level of despair.
Mm-hmm. Is there more you'd like to say before I speak?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you. When I hear that, I feel tenderhearted, and I notice my tendency to hold my body. I noticed my hands started to, they held each other. My feet wrapped around each other, and my head went down. And I sense some of my own low-level despair. I know where that exists in me as well. I appreciate your choosing to be transparent about that.
Thank you. And now I ask you.
So now you say thank you when I hear that, I feel, and share whatever your association is.
Thank you. I say thank you when I hear what I feel. I say those words.
When I hear that, I feel.
Oh, when I hear that, I feel.
What I just
Okay.
presented,
Yes.
what comes up in you.
Thank you. When I hear that, I feel humanity, and I feel understanding and reason that doesn't really exist for me right now, because I've been so ungrounded, and I've actually been adverse to doing things that ground me because I've got so much negative talk going on. So it's like, I don't really need that. I already did that, and I don't care about that. And yeah, so I appreciate what, how you were able to relate, and how you were and how you allowed yourself to feel that in your body and experience it.
Thank you. When I hear that, I feel present to times in which I felt overwhelmed by various news sources that I've seen, kind of trajectories I've watched over my lifetime. And I'm aware of how there's times when that awareness makes it hard for my body to relax and feel peace and joy, and easy for my body to feel anxious, and sometimes even frozen to the point of not functioning so well. And I notice that I wonder if you have a similar experience of it.
Thank you. When I hear that, I feel that mine is similar and dissimilar at once. I had a lot of trauma in my life, and I'm sort of in the midst of something that I'm not really calling trauma, but it's a 3-year long separation from my husband, and it's become a very ugly affair. And when you speak of what's going on sort of around us, and I guess the word, with humanity and globally, those words come up for me. That's really what has been really struck me lately, is that I feel very much brought back down to a old early place of not understanding, not being able to make sense, and feeling smothered, if you will, by that. Like, I don't know if smothered is the word I want to use. It's something about how it does permeate so many parts of my being, ones that I can't even necessarily identify. And it feels, I guess I don't know if my despair is making it harder for me to live with the despair that's in the world. And I guess I'm worried about that, because I've been having some difficulty that feels very old for me, and I didn't really expect that to happen at this point in my sort of life and growth process. And I guess that's making me think, wow, you can feel good and then you can feel really knocked all the way down. And I guess in some ways that's like a good insight right there, because I know that these things move and change.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I really appreciate just going straight to what's really alive in you. So yeah, when I hear that, I feel some resonance in terms of old stuff getting re-stimulated, and questioning my capacity to be with difficult emotions that are happening collectively in some ways. And I notice how much I've been drawn to taking time to do things like go to the gym and get in the garden and, do things that are attentive to cultivating my well-being. Because for me, that's become more of a necessity than something I do just for fun.
Thank you. When I hear that, I feel aware that I do not have enough practices that I would consider a refuge for me, that maybe the way you described, something you do for joy, but then you also do it for solace. So I definitely have a deficit there. I have spent a large portion of my life, well, I guess an early portion of my life, and then many other points, experiencing trauma. And then there was a period of drug dependency that was fairly protracted. And then I devoted, if you will, I'm kind of laughing at the word I'm choosing, myself, because it sounds a little martyrish, to, taking care of other people, namely my children and my soon-to-be ex-husband. So this is partly why I'm sort of a ship without, like a boat without a sail right now. I mean, it's sort of making sense for me. I just imagined this little island out there, like, no wonder you know, I've said it, I've acknowledged it a little bit, and I've said it a couple times, but this time I guess I have more compassion for myself. I'm like, no wonder you're having a hard time. Like, you know, I mean, and there's no right or wrong in that I devoted myself. I mean, I wanted to do that, but it didn't, it was too much of that. And now all of that, my kids are, and my husband is gone. So yes, I feel a little there.
Yeah. So thank you. I want to let you know that this is the completion of our 10 minutes. So I'm going to send a message to the breakout rooms, letting them know that they can enjoy their last minute, but otherwise the rooms will start to empty in 1 minute. And then say that, you know, when I hear that, I really feel the challenge of being a devoted wife and mother, and then having a sense of family fall apart. And that's, I notice some tears that well up in me just under the surface, having had my own experience of that, and really imagine how disorienting that experience can be.
Thank you so much.
So we have some people who are starting to re-enter the room. We also have a couple people who have joined us a little bit late, and the breakout rooms are closing in 13 seconds and counting. 10, 9. So thank you for doing this practice with me. We'll come back into these breakout rooms for a little bit to do a little reflection with each other, but I wanted to come into the room, and here everyone is. All right. So welcome back. I would love to, I'm going to just take a moment here and put you back into your breakout rooms, because I want to, now that you've had that practice with each other, I'd like to give you an opportunity to share with each other any feelings that arose and needs that were met as a result of engaging in this dialogue with each other. And so as we do that practice, I want to encourage you to, in this instance, we're going to go technical NVC and really look at what are feelings from a technical NVC standpoint. So we're looking at those feelings or emotions connected to met or unmet needs. And we'll also look at the needs list, right? Those universal needs, about 128 of them. I can put some links into the chat so that you've got some quick access to that. It'll take me just a moment to grab those. That way you can lean on those. I know that there are some people who are in this course who are relatively new to nonviolent communication, and that just the practice of identifying clear feelings and needs is a foundational practice that not everybody has developed yet. So I'm just grabbing those words lists, and I'll drop them into the chat. Hopefully you've got feelings of met needs, but I know sometimes there can be some tender feelings that arise as well. So let's see, grabbing a link, copy, and I'm going to paste that into the chat. So we've got feelings connected to met needs are here. And then I'll add the feelings connected to unmet needs in case there's some of those that you'd like to acknowledge. Dropping those into the chat right now. And then the one last one is the list of not character strengths, the list of universal needs. And so I'm grabbing that one. And I'll have that in the chat as well. I know if you're working on a phone, these lists can be very small and hard to read, but hopefully still helpful. References that you can pop up on your computer or your phone to support this. So again, I'm going to put you in breakout rooms with the very same person you were just talking with. And I want to encourage you to share what was alive from you from these feelings and needs lists, especially looking at what needs might have been met from this conversation. This will be a relatively short share. We'll be in there for 2 to 3 minutes.
And I think if we pull up what you put on in the chat, we won't see the person. I just did it and you all disappeared.
That is a possibility. You may not be able to look at both that and the person. So you might want to toggle back and forth or figure out how you can find a balance. But I just want to make sure you have those resources, because oftentimes without those sheets, we start to express things that are not actually feelings and things that are not actually universal needs. And so for this part of the practice, I really want to anchor the feelings and needs consciousness, the feelings and needs awareness. All right. Thank you. So I will see you in a few minutes. All right. And as I'm saying that, I see we have a few people who have joined since we started this practice. So Chad, Cindy, and Jennifer, and perhaps you might have heard some of the conversation that Kimberly and I had. I want to make sure everybody's got a partner in their room. Let's see. So I'm just checking that. I see Jean Marie has not joined room 11 yet, and Dawn V has not joined room 15 yet. Isa B also waiting for her to join room 18. So Isa or Isa, Dawn, if you could join your rooms, that would be wonderful, because you've got a partner waiting in there. All right. So Isa, still waiting for you to join your room. Okay, and in the main room here, let's see, Kimberly, I would love to hear from you what feelings you have and what needs were met as a result of the conversation that we had together.
Hold on.
Okay. Happy to share.
Do I have my volume on? I mean, do I
Volume
have
is
my audio?
on.
Oh, great.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry because I never turned it off and I just got in the house.
And I'm
Did you
happy to
ask
share first if you'd like.
Oh, sure. That would be great.
All right. Yeah. So I felt touched and moved by our conversation. It met values for connection and empathy. There was a need to be seen, especially in connection to some of the feelings of despair that arise that I don't talk about often. And so I really appreciated that need being more deeply met as well. So of course, the feeling of appreciation is present. Yeah, and tenderness. There's some feeling of vulnerability. And at the same time, when we talk about these things, I notice that some of my needs for meaning, purpose, friendship, community, shared reality, some of those needs are really well met. Yeah.
I like that. Thank you. I feel not as perhaps prepared and or versed to describe so well the feelings and needs that were met, but I'll make an attempt. For me, the need of being seen and heard was really fully met. And that's quite striking considering I was driving. I mean, granted, it's a road that I drive often for years. So, but a need for, I guess, understanding, which is sort of being seen and heard, but I felt understanding. So I think that's more than being seen and heard, or a little different to me. The need for connection, the need for validation is what came up. I don't know if that's a need.
Yeah, shared
Yeah.
reality. When I think of
Yeah.
validation, shared
Okay.
reality is a need that comes up.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then we're doing feelings as well.
Sure. Mhm.
I felt in touch with well, this is not a feeling. Let's see. I felt I'm gonna say the sentence and maybe you can help me find the feeling. I felt in touch with a more grounded, deeper sense of what my truth is. Because I've sort of been flying around and not grounded. So I don't know if you can help me with that feeling. Identification.
No, thank you. I'm touching into that one. Connected is a word that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, a need for authenticity, self-expression,
Mm-hmm.
self-realization, self-understanding. Those are perhaps needs that might be resonant.
Mm-hmm.
And we have everybody back in the room now. All right, welcome back. I recognize that not everybody's partner showed up in the room, and my apologies. For not being able to figure out a workaround if you were left in a room without someone. I would love to give an opportunity for people to share openly with the whole group so we can hear from you what came up for you in this exercise. So what were some of the emotions, some of the met needs? So we'll start with that, and then we can go to a round 2 of questions. So I'm just going in the order that I see hands come up. So the first person will be Cecilia, and then Patricia, and then Beth. Cecilia, please go ahead.
Well, thank you, Katrina, for the practice. I was really heard, and I had needs met for belonging and companionship and acceptance, which brings me peace and internal harmony, feeling of warmth, some relief. As well, and overall like joy and fulfillment. And I really want to appreciate the 2 steps, like the more, let's say, less formal part of the practice, in which get the jackal kind of out of the picture that wants us to be right and do the right thing.
Yes.
So I appreciated having that spaciousness to kind of explore and see what happens, and then kind of dropping into more formal, and which gives I think just a smooth transition into, okay, now I got it all off my chest, and I can be more particular and intentional.
Yes.
So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy you enjoyed both of those experiences. Yeah. Patricia.
Yeah, the reason that I raised my hand is because in our two-person group, the word that came up for us was connection in terms of feeling, but then it's also in terms of need. And then both of us realized, oh, the connection is both a feeling and a need.
Yes.
And we got very excited about that. And we were wondering, and this is why I raised my hand, whether you know of any other feelings that are both, of any other words that are both feelings and connection, that are both feelings and needs at the same time.
Definitely. There's a lot of them.
Like what?
Okay.
Love and joy combined.
Love and joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had never thought about that. That was quite a discovery. Both of us, we were kind of perplexed, like, oh, there are. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm delighted that this served your needs for connection, the feeling and the need of connection. Thank you. Beth. Whoops, I lost Beth. I think maybe.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was trying to unmute, and but you know that little thing that pops up got my way.
Yes.
Oh, okay. First of all, I want to thank you for your directing us and for those lists. I felt like I didn't have enough time to process, because I'm feeling somewhat discombobbled, mostly good feelings, and I have some issues that are not so good, and I'm trying to sort them out. So I appreciate this, but I'd like to I guess it raises my curiosity a little bit more about. Siva said you had cards, you showed cards, and that list, is that the cards? I mean, I just want to know how this plays out, how this works, because it sounds like a really good technique, but I'd like to know more about it. I'm curious.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I'm curious, and I can't see I can only see what, 25 people at a time on my screen. But I'm curious, by a raise of hands, how many people needed more time for that second part of the exercise where we reflect back feelings and needs? Okay.
Yes.
I'm wondering if it might make sense then to put you back into the breakout rooms, and maybe we could do another 5 minutes so that you can really take more time and debrief on feelings and needs. I'm curious if I can get just a quick like thumbs up, thumbs down, or neutral on it. Okay, so I see a couple thumbs down. I see a bunch of thumbs up. So what I think I'm going to do with that is I'm going to open the breakout rooms. And if you don't want to be in the breakout room, you can stay in the main room with me. But that way it'll give people an opportunity to have more time to look at those lists. I do recognize it can be challenging to identify feelings and needs, especially when you're still building your vocabulary. So,
So I have a question.
Yes.
If somebody leaves, then the other person is left by themselves.
Yes. What I
nothing
can
happens,
do
right?
then is, I can work to make sure that everybody's got a partner. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and reopen the rooms, and then I'll be just looking to make sure that everybody's got a partner for that. And then in this room, I'll continue to have an open sharing. Leslie, do you have a question?
Yeah, can you give us a ballpark of time?
Sure. So the last time we had 3 minutes. And I'm curious, Beth, you had said that was definitely not enough time. Maybe, and I saw Siva, you also agreed it was not enough time. Maybe there were other people. For people who thought it was not enough time, please raise the number of fingers for minutes you would like to have for this round too, so I can see. So I've got 5 to 10 minutes I've got some people saying 3. We were a little bit all over the place. I think I'm going to go in the middle about
Yeah.
6 minutes for this round. All right.
If we're in a room by ourselves, how long should we wait before we join the room?
I would say if you can wait 1 minute, I should be able to adjust things. And then you can come back into the main room if you don't have somebody else join you. All right. All right. So I'm going to open those rooms now, and I won't start the 6-minute timer until I see that everybody's settled in. All right. So you can start joining your breakout rooms. And I have the technical task of making sure everybody's got a partner. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's see. I'm going to move somebody. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, it looks like everybody's got somebody to talk to in their breakout rooms now. And then we have some people who are in the main room. Is there any? I see Chad, Roxana, Cindy, Chamu, and Jennifer. I've not assigned you to a room. Would you like to be in a room? Please raise your hand if you'd like me to add you to a room so you can be paired with someone. Okay, Roxana would like to be in a room. Is there? And Jennifer. Okay, Roxana and Jennifer, I'm gonna put you into room 4. Where is my assign button? It just disappeared. Okay, there we go. Room 4 and room 4. Okay. All right. Okay, so it looks like everybody's got partners, and then we are, oops. Harmony, are you going to join room 16?
We decided she wanted to walk her dog and I wanted to be in the main room, so we just decided that I'm in the right place. So thank you.
Great. All right. All right. So welcome. And is there anybody here who would like to share what their experience was of this exercise in terms of feelings and needs that might have been met? And also, how was the exercise for you? Did it feel really connecting, or was there some kind of challenge or lack of clarity? Because I know sometimes in the first one, some challenge and lack of clarity for you, Gail? No? I'd love to hear what you want to share then. I saw your hand go up. You're on mute right now, though, so please unmute yourself. Whoops, I still can't hear you.
What came up in my group is we had great ease and connection and flow, but we decided if you do the practice, there is that ease and flow. And then we're talking about how to bring it into our everyday life. So when I hear the word, what's alive in you, it's like, huh? So I don't know how else to phrase that in another way.
Sure. Yeah, I love that question, because what's alive in you? Of course, this question comes from Dr. Marshall Rosenberg. He encourages that. But what's another way that you might ask that question?
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up to the group.
Yeah, so we could brainstorm that. But basically, we're just looking at what would be kind of synonymous to that question. So it's just a way to get the ball rolling. And when you play this game, you really do need to introduce it as a process. Like, this is how we're going to start, and this is how we're going to flow. And so you could introduce what's alive in you, and you could share what that means. Or you could say, what's something that's feeling really present in your heart that you might like to share in this moment. So that could be an alternative way to say what's alive in you.
I mean, I try to ask questions like, what brought you joy today? And that's like too overwhelming.
Sure. And somebody really needs to be up for playing the game, right? You're building consent. You're saying, this is what the game's about. Would you like to try it with me? Because if you just, you just drop it on somebody and they have no idea where you're coming from, it's not going to work, right? People are expecting something more like, how are you? Fine. How are you? Fine. All right. Have a great day. Right. This is a different kind of conversation that we're having.
Okay.
So it does require a bit of a setup. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your question. Anything else?
I like to share. Okay, Sudha and me are in the same group. It's really an open-hearted session between us. She opened her heart, I opened the mind right away to respond. Yes, I feel that Sudha share a moment. It's authentic, very authentic. Right away, I followed authenticity, and we had a wonderful, almost a miracle. It is a miraculous connection, deep connection between us. So my need of appreciation, nurturing, tenderness, and warmth, and to be seen clearly, to be understood, and the deep connection, these needs are all met. These important needs all met. And thank you, Sudha. I feel the burden. A heavy stuff fell down my shoulder. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Sudha, I saw you had your hand raised and were about to speak right at the same time. And then I see Jean Marie and Jeff after you.
Okay. So what came across, and I expressed that in the thing, is that it doesn't need a lot of time, deep connection. It just needs that presence.
Yeah.
And I think it's like filling up my batteries, say perhaps for the rest of the day. I'm feeling a little teary-eyed when I actually saying this, because it's almost as if I've had a full meal and now I'm ready for the day, for the world, so to say. So it doesn't need time. It doesn't need, I don't even need to know the person. I mean, we are meeting for the first time, so I didn't even need to know her in order to be able to slip into that. So it's that willingness to hear each other. And it was a beautiful experience for me. And I wondered, when you mentioned the second half, which is go back and talk about your needs, I wondered, what else? And then what came up was, well, the icing on the cake. It came up so authentically and organically. So I'm feeling very nourished.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you for this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for Wei Hong for the way she brought up her life and her situation.
Beautiful. Thank you. Jean Marie, love to hear from you.
Thank you. I was with Gail, and we really had a good conversation and was able to listen deeply and reflect back. So I really thank you, Gail, for that opportunity to have a one-to-one with you. My question is on just in general, because I come to these groups because they are like-minded people. We have the practice, the skills, the common interests. It doesn't happen in my workplace, in my neighborhood, in other areas. And the challenge for me is if I were to practice some of these skills, and I've tried to, sometimes it's misunderstood, or people say, where are you coming from? Without saying those words to me. And very often I find myself alone, even with so much empathy and trying to communicate. So I'm not sure how to navigate in a real world where there are differences and people do not have a clue about NVC. And so those are challenging times for me. So that's why I keep coming back to these groups on Monday mornings here or Monday evenings to be fueled and to be energized so I can be filled up.
Yes.
So,
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I see the heart going up. Thank you, Sudha. I'm closing the rooms right now, just so you know, I'm multitasking. And I feel you on that challenge. It's something I share with you. It's wonderful to come into a community where these values are so immediately embraced, and it's a pattern disrupt for other people in the world, right? Again, we're used to, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. All right. We said that was our shaking of hands. Let's move on. And so it can be challenging to bring in something that has a greater depth. And I celebrate any efforts that you make in terms of just like, hey, can we try something? It can be very vulnerable to do that because people can be uncomfortable with something new. And it's uncomfortable when we make a request and receive a no, right? It can be really easy to evaluate that as some form of rejection and to have some emotional pain around that, to have unmet needs for connection and authenticity. So it really is vulnerable to introduce something new into the community. And I don't see any other way to really build this quality of connection. However, my experience has been that when I do introduce it, well, some people aren't into it, others do catch on and they want more. And so I hope that together as we share in our communities, we can grow this kind of consciousness. And so I just wanted to really say that I feel you as a companion in that challenge of loneliness and in the joy of having this opportunity in Zoom to connect in a deeper way.
thank you, Katrina, for your response.
You're welcome, Jean Marie, and thank you. Thank you for your desire to connect in deep and meaningful ways. Wonderful. So we're in a harvest right now of again, this experience we've had, including the emotions and needs and perhaps some questions that have come up as it relates to this dialogue. I had seen, Jeff, you had your hand up and then it came down. I just wanted to check in and see if it's still an active hand raised before checking in with others who have their hand raised. Nope.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I see Pooja and then Monica.
Shall I go?
Sure, yes.
So during my group interaction, we encountered an experience where person A has a need for communication, connection, and respect, but the other people whom they have this need common connection with is they are not willing to communicate and they don't want to talk, and so that's where it sounded somewhat challenging to know how to hold space for them.
Mm-hmm. That is a challenge. How many people have had that experience of like, I'm really wanting communication and respect and, the ability to build understanding with each other. And the other person's like, So it's a very common experience and yes, a difficult one. One of the pieces that immediately comes to mind is that ultimately it's a request. And we can't decide on behalf of another person. It's a longing of the heart, and we hope that they'll come forward and say, I'm willing and interested in meeting you there. And sometimes people are not. And accepting that can be very difficult. So that's one piece that comes up. Another one is that sometimes we can inquire into that. And we can just ask, like a connecting request. Would you be willing to help me understand why you're not willing to have this conversation with me? And see if that stimulates something. Again, it's a request and they might just decline and you may not get any information, but it might be the beginning of opening a door of deeper understanding. And Pooja, I have lost sight of you on my gallery view. I just wanted to check in and see how that's landing for you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Monica.
So I wanted to say that I appreciate the activity and I appreciated the openness, and I appreciated also that you allowed us to say our thoughts, because a lot of time NBC we're told how we only have to speak in feelings and needs, and I was really appreciative that it was open and we had the freedom to express some thoughts that we also had. So thank you. I liked it.
Good. Thank you, Monica. I also appreciate that free flow, because yes, sometimes we get so stuck inside of the Offner 4-step process and being technically correct in NVC that it can stifle free and full self-expression. It can actually stifle our ability to be in an authentic flow. So I like weaving in games where we can, for a moment, shake off the structures of NVC with an opportunity to enter into a fuller communication that we can then bring more feelings and needs awareness to. And Sally, I see your hand is raised.
Thank you. I really want to appreciate the breakout rooms, especially for connection, especially during this entire time with a particular person or a group of people to build that sense of real community, so that we can actually talk together in a smaller arena. I really appreciate that. And I was wondering if there was a way that we could connect with each other outside. I know during our practice, when we are in a breakout room, we could share an email address or something, but if that doesn't happen, if there's a way that we could connect with each other. Somebody I was with was asking, didn't know about Marshall Rosenberg's book or books. He has many books, but yes. I put it in the chat. I hope that's okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So that if anybody doesn't have that, that's such an amazing resource, and it kind of gives a good book overview. It can't take the place of a great practice group, but it can definitely help the foundation.
Yes. Beautiful. Yes, that is the foundational book. Like if you want to just introduce somebody to the full work of nonviolent communication, that is the one that I point people to first. So thank you for putting that in the chat for anybody who hasn't read it, and definitely recommend picking it up and studying, and perhaps finding a study buddy or creating a small group so that you can really talk about it and explore it together. In regards to your question about connecting outside of this group, the easiest way to do that would be to share your information in the chat. If you want to share it publicly, of course, you can share it with everyone. If you're wanting to share it with a person or some people specifically, in the chat, if you're on your computer, it says everyone in blue, and then there's a little drop down arrow on the right. If you click on that drop down arrow, you'll see a list of everybody who is in our room currently, and then you can click on a name and send that person a private message. All right. It would also, if you don't get a response, it might be that they're not looking at their chat. I'm not quite sure what to do with that, except for that you could raise your hand again and you could say, hey, by the way, would you look at your chat, please? I just sent you my information. So that would be another way of making sure you get their attention. But it's wonderful to keep practicing with each other and stay in connection outside of our group here together. Right. Are there any other people who would like to share what was alive with them in this practice, or do we want to move into another practice? Okay. I see Pooja, your hand is up again.
Yes, so I had a question come up and I've been noticing this. I would like to clarify. So I was mourning because I don't have this type of feeling conversations outside of some of the folks who practice NBC.
Yes.
And so I was mourning that I don't have that kind of rich connection, with this, bigger group.
Yes.
At the same time, what I also miss is that when I am talking to people outside of the NVC group and we make plans, we discuss ideas and we make plans. But then I also noticed that when I've tried to make plans with people who speak in NVC terms and we talk about feelings, but then when we go into feelings, we never talk about ideas and we never make real concrete plans. It always stays loose. And I was curious if you had any thoughts or suggestions for that.
Sure. So just to be clear, Pooja, what I'm hearing is that there's times when you'll connect with a group and people are expressing their feelings and perhaps their longings, but it stays in that flow without any kind of co-creative strategy.
Yeah. Or ideation or anything. Yes.
Yeah. I love that you're bringing that up because we have such an emphasis on feelings and needs in nonviolent communication. And ultimately, that's like information gathering with the idea that that information gathering supports us to look at how can we create strategies that would make life more wonderful for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So after people have expressed their feelings and needs, you could perhaps summarize, I'm hearing these feelings and these longings. Do we want to brainstorm some ideas that would meet these needs together? Right. So then you're moving into some strategy and you can just make a whole list of, well, we could try this or that or that or that. And then you look at them one by one and see which one is meeting everybody's needs in the best way. Right? When you find the one that's meeting everyone's needs in the best way, you can also look, are there any needs that are not met by this strategy as a way of refining it and tweaking it to come up with something that feels most aligned for everyone. Yeah. So then when you've got a collective, yes, let's do that, then it's about, okay, let's follow through now. Yeah.
And when you say brainstorming, is it in the head or the heart?
Well, at that point, you're taking the information of the heart, you're taking the feelings and the longings, which are information of the heart. And then you're using your mind to serve those needs. So, an inspiration might arise from the heart and it might arise from the mind. And ultimately, we're looking at, does it serve those needs being met? And it doesn't really matter if it's arising from the head or the heart, so long as we're looking to serve what's alive and make life more wonderful for everyone.
Thank you for sharing.
Welcome. All right. Let's see. Officially, we've got 20 minutes left. That is a short amount of time to go into a new exercise. And I'm going to, I think, just offer one anyway. Let's see. I think I'm also, I'm going to change my plan a little bit because the one I was going to do next isn't feeling right for a final 20 minutes. So, Siva, do you have a question? Please go ahead.
I have a crazy idea, but I see that Happy Ron Hill is here.
Yes.
And he says, here is a video of a humorous song that lists out hundreds of feelings that I wrote inspired by Marshall's work. Maybe he would be willing to sing for us.
Is that something that people would want to hear? I could do one of my softer songs.
I'm curious, how long is your song?
I can do a song in 2.5 minutes.
Oh, we don't need to rush it like that.
No, I mean, that's literally how long the song is. I apologize.
Okay.
I take after Marshall. All my songs are like 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. So I'm totally open to that. I want to do just a quick check-in with the group to see if we've got if people are up for that, so we can see like this, so I can get a sense of our status in the room. All right, we are getting thumbs up. We'd love to hear your song.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm not going to do that funny one. I'll do another one. This song is well, I have a video of this song with me with Baby Yoda in it, so that's what it's kind of about. The mag.
We love Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda, yeah. So if you go to YouTube Happy Ron, you can hear the song. Everyone heads out to find their path in a life so full of storms, but we're not so tough that we've outgrown the road that leads us back home. Even the hardest heart will sometimes skip a beat when the world turns right side up and everything seems at peace, and the smallest crack can start to let in a little spark, even in the hardest heart. We try to stay the same until we see all our children need us to do, and the truth shines bright in their eyes. We must grow so they can too. Even the hardest heart will sometimes skip a beat when the world turns right side up and everything seems at peace, and the smallest crack can start to let in a little spark, even in the hardest heart. Some build a wall they can't get around, that they want us to help them break through. For no one hides without needing to be found by the warmth that they once knew. Even the hardest heart will sometimes skip a beat when the world turns right side up and everything seems at peace, and the smallest crack can start to let in a little spark, even in the hardest heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was a treat.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from some people. Any words of appreciation, feelings, and met needs that are alive in you as a result of Happy Ron's offering? Samantha. Can't hear you yet.
I just felt so connected because somewhere in the beginning of when Ron was singing, it was about me. And then the second part of what Ron was singing was about this person that I was trying really hard to connect to, but sort of felt like he's hard-hearted, blah, blah, blah. But then the song made me feel like there is something sweet there that it was very sweet. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. One of the things Marshall taught me is that when you're playing music or something, it's always good to hear what the feelings and needs were that were met, as opposed to someone just saying, "Oh, that's a great song, you're a genius," or blah 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 blah. And Marshall said, "No, that's not good. Tell me exactly what feelings and needs are met." So I'm grateful to hear that. And Leslie asked if I wrote the song, and yes, it is a song I wrote. Katrina, I think you're.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. We'll have one more from Kay, and then we're going to do one more exercise before we complete our session tonight.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm a musician and I celebrate your contribution. I celebrate your authenticity and self-expression. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the link to the video in the chat if anybody wants to watch it.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to put you back in your groups in a moment. And let me see. I'm looking at some messages that happened. I see a message from Monica. I believe the training I did at the NVC conference was called Heart Medicine. I'm not absolutely certain, but that's one that I do often. So if you're looking for that one, Heart Medicine is the name of it.
Okay, thank you. I
You're
couldn't
welcome.
remember. I remember your face, but I couldn't remember it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're going to just do a gratitude practice. So I'm putting these back as quick reference in the chat. I'm scrolling up to get them. And so this practice is going to be with your partner again, hopefully with a partner that you've had an opportunity to really have some connection with. And you're going to share an observation of something that they did, along with how you felt and a need that was met, right? So this is a way that we share gratitude in nonviolent communication. It's a little deeper than saying like, you know, wow, what a beautiful background you have in your Zoom, which is like, okay, that didn't really land, but thanks. Instead, we can really appreciate what is something specifically that another person did, what emotions arose in us when we experienced that, and what was the need that was met, right? So it's very similar to what we did in our practice of just looking at how we were touched and moved by the communication exercise we did. We don't have a whole lot of time left, so I'm gonna give you 5 minutes in the breakout room. Again, I'll do my best to make sure everybody has a partner. Samantha, I see you need to leave. Yeah, I'll do my best to make sure everybody has a partner. And if you don't have one, you can come back into this room and we'll do that practice here. All right, so I'm going to open the breakout rooms. Again, we're just practicing gratitude using nonviolent communication. So you're sharing an observation, feeling, and need. I'll see you in about 5 minutes. Okay, I'm just working on making sure people are paired up. I'm getting there, almost. Let's see. Okay. Siva, if you'd like, I can put you in a room, in room 20. There's one person there.
Cecilia in a group?
I don't know. I think so. Yes.
Did
Her
Sam?
person's there.
Okay, anybody.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So I think everybody's paired up who needs to be in a breakout room. And I'm happy to hear observations, feelings, and needs in form of gratitude, or if there's any other NVC questions, something that's really alive in you as it relates to applying this work to an area of your life. I always enjoy that kind of Q&A as well. I'm going to set my alarm so I make sure I know when to close the breakout rooms. I might randomly call on people just to create a little dialogue on here.
I can go.
Thank you. Chad, what's up?
I'm Chad. This is my first time to this practice group.
Welcome.
I had the time, an hour off. The person that recommended it told me 10:30 my time in Ohio. And so I jumped. I didn't really double check that. I wish I would have. Is it normally at the same exact time?
It is, yes. So Ohio, it would start at what, 8:30 to 10:30?
It would be 9:30.
9:30? California, it starts at 6:30.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah. My gratitude is that I had a really good conversation with my mom today that has to do with NVC and maybe being interested in being certified. So I have some gratitude around that, and it would meet a need for some purpose and being part of the meaning that I want to share in what I do. And yeah, I guess there would be, to go full on NBC, some morning that I showed up late and I didn't really know. So, but I'm just hanging out, and I'm grateful just for the I'm grateful for the action, just to show up, you know. So that's, I know I'll show up again or more, but just to be here and listen in and catch some of the vibes here and there, without being in a partnered group, that's also cool. You know, this won't be the last time. So
yeah.
And that's it. That's how I'm showing up.
Beautiful. I'm glad you could join us here, and also that the NVC tools have, it sounds like, really deepened a sense of connection with your mom, and that you have interest in looking at certification. That's a definite sign of deep interest in the tools. I know they've made such a huge difference in my life. I just had to move towards certification because it was like, I'm going to learn it anyway. Want to share it with others anyway. So why not get certified?
Yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, I've hung out with a lot of trainers over the years and stuff, and it hasn't really came up to me. I mean, I've thought about it, but in this time of my life, yeah, it just feels right. So I'm just showing up.
Beautiful. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to broadcast to the rooms. And I'm going to start to close the room. So if anybody, they might start coming back early. Otherwise, everyone will be back in the next minute. There goes my alarm. I'm always amused anytime I plan for one of these things, I always think I can get a whole lot more done than I can in the amount of time we have. So yeah, there's a couple other games that I look forward to sharing with the group in later sessions. Yeah, and start welcoming people back. We got about 10 seconds left before everybody's back in the room here.
Well, I can imagine that it would feel better to have more than enough than some empty unknown space at the end.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Welcome back, everyone. So I did have Siva ask earlier, and one other person asked a little, I think Francesca or Gail maybe asked a bit about the cards that I just flashed on the screen briefly and didn't say anything about. How many people here notice it's a challenge to come up with words that you are sure are expressing of emotion or universal needs? You're like, is that word on the list? How many people have that challenge? And maybe it slows you down when you're practicing empathy for yourself or others. When I was first learning nonviolent communication, that was a huge challenge for me. My vocabulary was like, I knew some, but I certainly didn't have 128 needs in my immediate vocabulary, nor did I have, 100 plus emotions. And so that's something that can be built, and actually can be built pretty quickly. In my experience, the words list can be overwhelming. When I have an emotion and I'm looking at a bunch of words, like sometimes my eyes will just scan over a word that's resonant because there's so many words there that it's hard for me to connect with each one. And so when I started learning nonviolent communication, I learned the value of using cards as a way of building my vocabulary, practicing empathy, and sharing it with others very, very early on in my practice. So the cards that you saw here, and I'll pin myself just to make this a little larger for you all. The cards that you saw they're called Love Smart cards. So you can go to lovesmartcards.com to find these. And inside there's 4 decks of cards. So that first set they're universal needs. And then it says longings, needs, values, and desires, because these words can be used interchangeably when expressing nonviolent communication. And when you have multiple words you can use, it's easier to speak in giraffe in a way that sounds natural as opposed to formulaic. That's one of the challenges of nonviolent communication is we really want to know the formulas. We want to know the 4-step process, but we don't want to sound like we're using the 4-step process in our conversations with other people. And it can be a balance to try and figure out the structure and also find a flow that really feels like it's from the heart and authentic. So that's one of the ways that I help to build that is to give some different words you can use here. In this deck of cards, there's 84 of the 128 universal needs. And so you can look at one at a time. And when you look at one at a time, you have a somatic response in your body that says, oh yeah, I have that need, or no, that need's met. That need is met right now. So you know in your body whether it's something that's really an unmet need or a met need, or maybe it's somewhere in between, but your body will give you that feedback. So it's a wonderful way of building your vocabulary and building your somatic awareness at the same time. There's also games in here. So you can do solo games, and you can do games with another person or with multiple other people. The next 2 set of cards are emotions cards. And so you saw those before. So again, you can flip through these to really identify what uncomfortable feelings you might be having that might be connected to some unmet needs, or what comfortable feelings you might be having that might be connected to met needs. So again, every time you flip through these, you're just building your vocabulary. You're becoming more and more familiar with these words that are at the foundation of your empathy practice. The last set of cards is not part of nonviolent communication, but I've found it to be very helpful. Those are character strength cards. So character strengths are they're qualities that we bring to life. So some examples here: orderly, prayerful, present, purposeful, responsible, respectful. So sometimes when, there was an example earlier where you're wanting to have a conversation with somebody, you're wanting communication and respect, understanding, and that person's not interested. And so you've gotten a no. And no matter what request you make, you might just hit a brick wall and get a no to your requests. And so one of the ways I found I can empower myself or my clients when those challenges come up is to ask myself, what are some of the character strengths I could bring to this challenge that would have me feel really good about the way I'm showing up and care for my own needs. So that's one of the things that the character strengths can do. The box also, of course, has instructions and games in the little quick start guide in the front. So that you can find those at, I'll put it in the chat here. So you can find me in the cards there. And then I also offer 45-minute complimentary strategy sessions. If you really have a relationship that you're like, oh, what do I do here? And you're wanting to apply nonviolent communication to it. You're wanting to apply the principles. This is a 45-minute offering that I gift to people up to 3 times a year, up to once every 4 months. So feel free to go on to that link and you can see if that would be of value to you. Feel free to reach out to me in that way. Let's see, remove the spotlight. There we go, back to gallery view. I really want to thank you all for showing up tonight, for bringing your love and attention to our time together, for bringing your passion to this topic of compassionate connecting. It was really a joy to share this with you. I'm just feeling how nourished my heart feels in this moment, and how grateful I am that we are this growing community of people who really care about authentic, honest, open-hearted communication. So with that, I want to acknowledge we're 3 minutes past our time. If anybody needs to leave, then thank you again for being here. Hope to see you again at some point in the future. I can also stay on for about 10 minutes if there is anyone else who might like to share or have a question before we sign off for the night. And I will be reading all the little notes in the chat. So thank you again and blessings to you all.
Is it possible to say something?
Yes, Francesca.
I just want to thank you so much. This has been such a powerful session tonight. Your game is incredible. The connectivity has been just fantastic. And for me personally, it was wonderful, but I would bet that it's similar for everybody. So I just wanted to say thank you to you.
Thank you, Francesca. I noticed my heart feels really touched as I heard your words of appreciation and acknowledgement, and I see a heart popping up on the screen from Leslie too. Thank you for that. Again, it's a joy. This is such a beautiful way to create a soothing, yummy, nourishing energy and connection with others. Thank you, Francesca. Monica, I see your hand is up.
So I don't know. Oh, sorry, it's kind of dark now, but I think you can see me. I was just wondering if you had a little bit of time to go over, like, I love playing games with my students and everything when I teach NVC. So I was kind of wanting to know a little bit more because I was wondering maybe I have made that game and wondering whether I would like to buy that. Is there a way you could say a little bit about the games, what games you could play with those cards?
Sure. So one thing when working with kids, this is an adult set of cards. And so you want to reduce the sets to make it appropriate, age appropriate to whatever kids you're working with. when my son was 8 years old, my decks were reduced into about half the size that they are now, so that I'm working with his vocabulary. The most common game that I practiced initially was empathy poker. So one person tells a story for 2 to 3 minutes, and then they stop telling their story, and then the other person guesses feelings and needs. You can also do this in a group where one person at a time has a chance to tell their story, and then all the other people have feelings and needs cards, and they can make those empathy guesses using the cards and laying them down. You can do that with gratitude as well. I would sometimes go out and play different games with my son, and then we'd come home and I'd say, so how are you feeling and what needs were met? So that's another form of empathy guessing. And it's wonderful to not always focus on all the pain and unmet needs, but also remember all of the goodness in life that's happening. Very important to do that practice to fill your cup. Another exercise that I like to do, and again, this is not nonviolent communication, but with the character strengths, I love practicing acknowledgement. And so an acknowledgement would be to identify a character strength that I perceive in another person, and then to say, you know, I see, let's see, what would I use? I'm just looking at what's here. Nothing's really popping up in the moment, but I could say, you know, I noticed that I want to acknowledge you for being respectful. And I see your respect when you raise your hand before you speak, and you make eye contact, and you're asking questions that are really in support of the process. And so I just want to really acknowledge and appreciate how that's touched me. So that's another kind of game. There's other ones that are in the little booklet there, but that's a place to start.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
the last one you told me is kind of like what I've done with my students called literacy awards.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. And Shizuka, am I saying your name right?
Yeah, I'm Shizuka. My question is quite similar to Monica. I have also
wonderful.
smart cards translated in Japanese.
The Japanese ones, yep.
Yeah. And I always don't know how to use character strings cards. So I wanted to more explanation about this one, but maybe you did it before.
Okay, I'm happy to say something more about the character strength cards. So again, that's not part of nonviolent communication. So this is an add-on. It comes from positive psychology is one of the areas that uses character strength cards. So in old forms of psychology, the psychologist would listen to you and the challenges you were facing, and then they would evaluate what's wrong with you and how to fix you. That was kind of the old model of psychology. The model of positive psychology is to listen to you and to really recognize what your character strengths are, and then to help you build a positive self-regard by building on those character strengths, by building a character strength awareness. So you could think of character strengths as these qualities of virtue, or if you think of this ideal of unconditional love, right? Like the really, really big love, then you could look at like, okay, really, really big love includes compassion, kindness, understanding, forgiveness, even humor, playfulness, orderliness, cleanliness, right? This idea of unconditional love has all of these facets to it. And I like to think that the purpose of our being here on earth is to develop these qualities of love within ourselves and to share that, to express that in the world with others. So that's what the character strengths are. Needs, there's some similarity between needs and character strengths, but when I think of needs, needs are what is it that I'm hoping to receive, with the exception of the need for contribution. It's kind of receiving, but I have a need to give. Character strengths are more of who am I being as I face this challenge? Who am I being in this relationship? What am I generating as qualities? So, so that's a bit about what the character strengths are. And then when you're working with them, there's a couple different ways that you can reflect using the character strength cards. One is to, if you're working with a challenge, you can ask yourself a question: what character strengths might support me to move through this challenge? What am I inspired to bring to this challenge? Right? And that might change from time to time. At times, it might be compassion. At times, it might be playfulness. At times, it might be creativity. But it can be beautiful to listen to that, because that spark will help to empower us to move through the challenge in a beneficial way. It can also be really wonderful to, again, share appreciation, like I had expressed with Monica, to share appreciation for the people around us, to connect deeply like we did in that first exercise, where we said, you know, when I hear that, I feel, and there's this beautiful depth that gets created in that conversation. We can do that with character strengths too, where we deeply connect with another person and we flip through the character strength cards and we just notice, like, okay, when I think of you, what's the character strength that feels very alive? You know, what really stands out? And then we can express that to another person. And it's a beautiful gift to be present with another person and hear them not only appreciate us for what we're doing, but appreciate us for the energy that we're generating and bringing to the relationship. Does that give a little more clarity?
Yeah. So, you mean I choose character strings by myself to each situation?
You can do that. That's one of the ways you can use it. You can also acknowledge yourself, right? You can say, you know, that was a difficult situation and I appreciate how I brought, and I'll pin so I can show some of the cards that are here. You know, I appreciate how I brought some friendliness, how I chose to be forgiving, how I chose to be loving. So you can appreciate yourself for these. You can appreciate others for that. And you can also say, I'd like to become more of this in this situation. I'm inspired to. Not I should, because when we say I should, there's a little bit of a self-punishing quality. But where are we inspired to bring a quality to a challenge? Yeah.
Yeah, and I see. Thank you for helping me to understand clearly. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. All right, I'm going to take a moment and just look in the chat. Okay. Yeah, and is there anything else that is alive to share? I'm doing a quick copy paste of a email somebody sent me. So let's see. Okay.
Is there a list of the character strengths? Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, good.
Happy to share that with you. Let's see. Okay, so just grabbed that and it's going in the chat now. This is not a fully comprehensive list. None of these lists are fully comprehensive, but they're still fairly comprehensive. Okay. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the record because I don't think we need that anymore. And